I'm Robert Reber. I'm a director of photography. I'm sitting here with Greg Zekowski. The first question I want to ask you today was, when it comes down to crew coordination, how do you deal with? Do you deal with it, or do you go and tell your DP how to deal with it?
Most of the crews that I work with, you figure they're divided into a couple of different groups. With the DP, you've got underneath him the grip and electric crew. In coordination with him, I will work with the on-set dresser, who's in charge of moving the pieces around. So if we were doing a scene, I wanted to move the chair over there, I grab the on-set dresser. Or we want to move something to put a light in or bring a camera over, he's the guy to work with that. Along with that, the prop department may get involved. And then there's also the costume, what we call the vanities, hair, makeup, and wardrobe. So if you think about it in terms of groupings, I tend to work with the department heads for each particular group and coordinate them together. So what I'll do if we're setting a shot is I will bring everybody together. Hey guys, here's the rehearsal, let's all watch it. Now at the end of the rehearsal, we'll then make a decision about the shooting order, whether it's shooting masters and then coverage or too many masters, we'll go through and figure out where all that's going to go. And that division of labor allows for each department to then work within itself. I'm not going to tell an individual grip what to do. I might tell them what not to do.
Right.
I seem to do something crazy. But I will work with the key grip and the best boy grip, as well as the gaffer and his best boy electric. I'll also work with the camera operators and the dolly grips, and even sometimes the first ACs, because I want to make sure they get what they need to accomplish what they're going to do.
Right.
As far as hair and makeup goes, I just sort of tell them what we're doing and make sure they have enough time to do all the refreshen ups and makeup touch-ups they need to do prior to the scene.
Is there any time that you've been on a set and a DP's come to you and said, I've talked to production, they're only giving me X amount of people and I need more people, and since we're not going to get that, we need to accommodate the schedule somehow?
It happens on every shot, in every scene, on every day. Nobody ever comes out and says, I have enough people, you can give me less time.
Okay.
Nobody. I mean, if it ever happens, I'll mark it on my calendar and know that it will never happen again.
Okay.
The planets are in a line. No, generally, you're always trying to do more. So every shot wants to be bigger, better, faster, louder. And as such, they're always going to say, look, what we really wanted to do was this shot, but according to the schedule, we only have time for this much. So how do we adjust? And so what I'll do, hopefully prior to the day of shooting, is sit with the DP, sit with the director and the department heads and figure out what are the specifics they need for the big things. And then we work backwards from there towards filling in the rest of the schedule. So an example might be, we want to shoot at location on a particular backlot, and in that backlot there's one scene that's the big scene. So I work with the DP to make sure that we're shooting that at the best time of day for lighting, and the best time of day for getting the equipment in and getting set up and getting out of that scene. So those don't always work together either. So the best time of day may be between 4 and 7 o'clock, working towards sunset, ergo panic hour. But that also means that once the sun sets, how does that affect his wrap? Or are we doing night work? How does that get him to night work? What does he need to get ready for that shot? How much time does he need prep? What do I have to do for the actors to get them in the right makeup, hair, and costumes? There may be beard changes and hair changes and wig changes or prosthetic changes that have to take place. So nobody works in a bubble. Everything is interactive.
Wow. And so you kind of talked about you having to put certain things in certain places. So let's say you have a dolly setup or dolly move. Is there a specific is there a specific place that you'd want to have that? Like, would you prefer the beginning of the day because it's a hard shot, you want to get out of the way, or?
No, I mean, your question is a key part of what I do on a daily basis. Once I know the general arc of the schedule, I know that it's going to flow in a certain order over, let's say, 30 days. And I know that we're going to be at a specific location for 3 days in the middle. I'll find out from both the set deck department, the construction department, the people building the sets, to find out when everything's going to be 100% ready. Because odds are, they're going to say, look, when you arrive at the location, we won't have this one area done yet. So we'll avoid that.
Right.
And I have to accommodate that because it doesn't do me any good to show up to a set that isn't ready yet. I also want to give everybody a chance to see the sets as much as I can prior to shooting them, so that they can light them, they can prep them, they can get everything in. I don't want to sit there with a unit on company time watching guys lay basic cabling that they could have done while I was doing something else.
Right.
So I might arrive at a location and do insert shots on a car. And while we're on the car driving around the area, they'll be lighting the set. And that way, I'm taking advantage of the morning light that way. Or it may be that the very first thing we can do is bring the actors in early and work around and get a sunrise shot. So I really want to maximize the location's time, and in doing so, I need to know how much time does it take to do what you need to do. So if you're laying, let's say 5 pieces of track across the street, and there's a street closure involved, I'll work with the location department to say, okay, I need to close the street, when can I do it? Well, between 10 and 4. Okay, to go to the DP, hey, you can shoot between 10 and 4. Well, that's the worst lighting. Well, there's nothing I can do, sorry, that's what the city's allowing for. So which would you prefer, the morning or the afternoon? You'll say, well, let's go for the afternoon, just to be arbitrary. And so then I start working towards that. Now what that allows for is the crew to have the most time to rig it, because they can be in the street, they can shut the street down. If we started at 10, that means he's rigging that right starting at 10.
Right.
So hopefully by, let's say, 2 o'clock, he's had 2 or 3 hours or an hour, whatever it takes for him to get all his equipment out there, to get the cranes rigged, the dollies rigged, the wet down, all of that's in place, everything's ready to go, so that when we arrive to shoot it, when the cameras and the actors and the director all show up, there's not that much lag time between, hey, here's where everybody's going to walk, check the lighting, okay, well then let's add one more light here, put some fill.
Tweaking and stuff like
And tweaking.
that. Yeah.
So you want to keep setup time, shot to shot, as minimal as possible. It's like somebody said, well, it's just one company movie. Take an hour out of your day and throw it away.
Right.
Nobody watching a movie ever said, boy, that was the best company movie I've ever seen. Just doesn't happen.